you're a cryptocurrency investor, trader, or user, then CoinGecko is one of the most important tools in your arsenal. But in today's video, I'm going to go through 5 features of CoinGecko that you probably didn't already know about. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick. As always, nothing I say in this video is financial advice. This is entirely educational about how to responsibly research and use cryptocurrency yourself. Now, let's get into it. To start, let's hop over to CoinGecko, and you've probably seen this before if you've used cryptocurrency. This is just a price of every major and most minor coins, right? It's got thousands and thousands of tokens on here. It has the price change, the 24-hour volume, the market cap, and you can toggle on the fully diluted valuation, which is the market cap, including coins that aren't in circulation yet. And these are not the features that I'm going to show you because these are pretty straightforward, and if you've used CoinGecko, you've probably used these. But we're going to dive in a little deeper today to look at some features that maybe you didn't know about. To start, we're going to click into a coins page to see some more details. This is Solana. You have your basic details up top, but the first feature that I want to show you is they have this relatively new tokenomics tab here. And if you click on tokenomics, what this is going to do is it's going to show you the initial token allocation for that token. So it's going to show you who invested in that token initially and how many tokens they received, as well as how many went to the team and how many were reserved for the community. So in the case of Solana, we can see, for example, that just over 25% was for the seed sale, 20% for the founding sale, 20% for the foundation, another 20% for the team, and then the rest for other types of sales. And you can see the breakdown written out in a list form right here. Moving down, another thing that's useful here is they have the supply schedule. So you can see, for example, the rate at which tokens are being unlocked. And although this actually ended up doing well because we were in the midst of a bull run, when this huge cliff happened right here, a lot of people were very concerned, right? Because they were concerned, will Solana dump after all these tokens are unlocked? And that didn't end up happening, but if you want to check on future unlocks, see how many are coming onto the market in the future, you can do so using this chart right here. And then one thing that I find really helpful here that I've found it very difficult to find anywhere else is that for a lot of tokens, CoinGecko has the funding rounds here. And so, for example, we can see that the seed sale for Solana, $3 million, or $3.17 million, was raised in March 2018 with an average price of $0.04. Man, I wish I was in that sale, right? That would have been fantastic. Even the public auction in March 2020 was also pretty good. Price 22 cents, considering even after crashing, it's still up nearly 100x from that. And so that's the information that you can find in this tokenomics section. And truthfully, this is extremely useful. The next page that I want to show you on here is for a major coin, major token like Solana. You can buy it on pretty much any major exchange, but for other tokens, perhaps you cannot, and you might not know where to buy it. If you go to this markets tab here, go to markets and any token or coin, it'll show you everywhere you can buy this, and it will show you ordered from most to least volume. And this includes both centralized exchanges, it includes smaller exchanges, and you can just see literally every single place that you could buy this token, and you can see all of the pairs that are available. And you click on this volume percent thing to sort it by volume, and we can see, for example, no surprise, Binance is number 1, Huobi's number 2, Coinbase exchange is number 3, and just going down here, you can see all of the exchanges, big and small, where you actually have the option of purchasing SOL. So again, SOL you can purchase almost anywhere, but perhaps you were interested in purchasing a smaller token, right? Perhaps you wanted to buy, let's say, Rollbit. Rollbit is still relatively large, but it's not on as many exchanges. And so if you click on markets here, then you can see which decentralized exchanges you can actually purchase this token on, and Uniswap v3 on Ethereum is by far the most common. The next feature on CoinGecko that I want to show you is this categories page. And so this is really useful for doing your own research. This is the top crypto categories by market cap, but rather than just looking at the top categories, I mean, layer 1 perhaps is useful. However, that's going to include most major tokens because the largest tokens tend to be layer 1s. But if you go down here, then you can, for example, dive into smaller niches that you might want to specialize in, and you can start to get a lay of the land. So when I do research on a category, the first thing I do is I want to make a list of all of the projects big and small in that category to start to find out what's out there, to go through them one by one, read their white papers, test out their apps, and just get a feel for what's on the market and what the competitive advantages of each project on the market are. So for example, let's say you were interested in perpetuals, right? Let's say you're interested in SocialFi. That's been a hot category recently. So you click on SocialFi here, and then look, it's got all of these different projects that relate to SocialFi in some way that CoinGecko has tagged as having to do with SocialFi. And these range from Theta Network, which has a $600 million market cap, down to things that are complete microcaps under $1 million. I don't even know if all these projects are still active. That would have to be part of your research process. But this does a lot of the work for you, so you're not digging around online. They've already compiled a lot of these projects that fit this narrative. Another way you might look at it, for example, is they have a category for alleged SEC securities. They have tokens that are tagged for specific news events here. And I wouldn't read too much into every token that's been listed as an SEC security because it's a ton. But perhaps some of you that are hedging your risk against regulations, or maybe you are affiliated with some sort of institution or fund and you want to make sure you avoid any projects with that are listed as securities. I mean, yes, you're going to do more due diligence than just CoinGecko, but a good place to start is you can go here and you can see these few dozen coins that have been named as securities by the SEC at some point. And there's just tons and tons of other categories here. I mean, perhaps this is even good for you to just get a feel for what your specialty might be. I always say that the best way to get an edge in the market is to develop a specialty, something like SocialFi, something like even tokenized gold, right? There's probably only a few hundred people at this point in the world, maybe 1,000. I would say probably a few hundred who are actually following these categories closely. So you can really develop an edge and develop a name for yourself if you specialize in them now. And that's the CoinGecko's categories page. The next feature is if you go back to the main page here, right now all these prices are in dollars. If you click on this little USD icon on the top, then you can change the currency. So you could perhaps change it to your local currency if you wanted to use yen, for example. However, what I typically use this for, because I'm in the US, so I use the US dollar, as do many people in and outside the US, I go down and I use this cryptocurrency section. So isn't that interesting? So for example, imagine you were taking profits from your investments into BTC or into ETH. Really, your benchmark is not the dollar, right? Your benchmark is those coins, because if you're investing in crypto for 5 years and your performance is worse than ETH, then you kind of wasted your time. I mean, to be blunt, right? You kind of should have just invested in the majors if you're performing worse than them, and you would have saved yourself a lot of stress and you could have spent that time on something else. So what I like to do is click on ETH, and then here you can actually compare the prices and performance over time to ETH. And so we can see, for example, 24 hours, BTC slightly up, 7 days, slightly down. Tether is of course up. That's kind of confusing. That just means the price of ETH dropped in this case. But if we look at the top performers over 7 days, for example, we can see that Synthetics has way outperformed ETH. So if you were in SNX and you're taking profits into ETH, you're golden because you're gaining even on ETH. Whereas some other coins, right, the market's down, and imagine you were holding RLB or you were holding OP over this week, then you actually underperformed ETH. So even though the whole market was down, these coins were especially down. And these things fluctuate a lot week to week. So if you're in these coins, don't take that as a personal slight. Actually, like both of these projects, it's just saying that in this 7-day period, you would have been better off holding ETH. And that's the CoinGecko feature to change currencies. I'm going to change this back to US dollar. And then the final and fifth feature that I wanted to show you today is for those developers out there, CoinGecko actually has a free API that I've personally found extremely helpful for building apps to find custom signals for what's happening in the market. So you click on Crypto API and you can see to get an API key and use their more exclusive API, get a higher limit. If you're maybe building an app, you do have to pay. However, if you just click on Explore Docs, they also have a lot of things you can get for free, right? You can get prices, you can get market cap, you can get some basic history. You can even get a list of categories with market data. You can pull actually quite a bit of information completely for free. And the limit is 10 to 30 calls per minute if you're using the public API. However, there's again still a lot you can do with that. And so check this out here. For example, one thing that I did is I was building an application to find coins that had deviated in their total value locked to market cap ratio from what their norm was. So in order to calculate those historical total value locked to market cap ratios, I didn't want to pull all those market cap histories manually. So enter the CoinGecko API, save me a ton of time. And those are some features to take your use of CoinGecko to the next level. If you want more tools to help your cryptocurrency research, be sure to check out my weekly newsletter at dynamodefi.substack.com. I send it out every Monday, and I always include a tool spotlight of some new tool to help you with your research. If you want more videos like this, be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.